The Richest Man in Babylon by George S. Clason. The Timeless Secrets of Wealth from Ancient Babylon. A part of all you earn is yours to keep. This one line, simple, ancient, and unforgettable, has the power to change your financial future forever. It's not just advice, it's a law, a timeless truth passed down from the richest city the world has ever known, Babylon. Now imagine this. You're working hard, juggling bills, trying to get ahead, yet your bank balance never seems to grow. You save a little, but it slips away. You hustle, but it never feels like enough. Now picture another life. Same income, same energy, but with ancient money principles guiding you. Suddenly, you're in control. Your savings grow, your debts shrink, your confidence rises, all because you learned what the Babylonians knew thousands of years ago. This is not a fantasy. It's the story of countless people who have read The Richest Man in Babylon, a small book with massive power. Written in 1926 by George S. Clason, it doesn't give you complicated formulas or dry financial jargon. Instead, it offers parables, short stories set in ancient Babylon, designed to teach you how to earn more, save better, invest wisely, and live richly. Why Babylon? Because it was the wealthiest city of the ancient world. It didn't become rich by luck. It followed laws of money that still work today. Think about that. In a time without credit cards, bank apps, or Wall Street, ordinary people in Babylon built wealth using principles that still work in the 21st century. They didn't rely on quick wins or overnight success. They mastered the slow, steady path to financial freedom. And so can you. By the end of this video, you'll have a blueprint. Not theory. Timeless, practical steps to build wealth one principle at a time. Whether you're drowning in debt, living paycheck to paycheck, or just looking to sharpen your money mindset, this journey through the streets of Babylon will equip you with tools to change your financial life forever. The wisdom hasn't aged, the world has, but money still obeys the same laws. You're about to learn them. Introduction to the World of Babylon. Babylon. The very name carries an air of mystery, of ancient sands, towering walls, hanging gardens, and golden riches. But beneath the history and legend lies something even more valuable. A way of thinking about wealth that has stood the test of time. Babylon was not just a place, it was a symbol of wisdom, prosperity, and the disciplined pursuit of financial independence. Imagine a city rising from the barren heart of the desert, a place where there were no rivers to feed crops, no oceans to offer trade winds, yet it became the wealthiest city of its time. Babylon flourished not because of its resources, but because of its resourcefulness. It was built by people who understood how to make money work for them, who respected the laws of gold, and applied them faithfully. Its citizens knew that wealth wasn't magic, it was mathematics, not chance, but choice. And that's exactly why George S. Clason chose this setting to deliver his timeless lessons. When Clason published The Richest Man in Babylon in 1926, he was not aiming to write just another finance book. In fact, he did something far more powerful. He wrote a collection of parables, simple stories, each one laced with ancient wisdom and financial truth. These weren't academic theories or complicated economic formulas. They were stories, memorable, relatable, and incredibly practical. Clason was a businessman himself. He served in the Spanish-American War and later published financial pamphlets distributed by banks and insurance companies across America. He understood that if you wanted people to remember financial principles, you couldn't just tell them, you had to show them. And what better way to show them than through timeless characters like Arcad, the richest man in Babylon, and his friends, who were eager to escape their poverty and learn the secrets of success. In the world Clason created, money isn't abstract, it is real, it has weight, It behaves in predictable ways. It rewards those who understand it and punishes those who ignore it. That's why Babylon, with its desert backdrop and gold-lined tales, became the perfect stage for this financial drama. It was far enough in the past to feel timeless, yet the lessons it held were urgent, especially during the 1920s, when economic tides were rising and crashing like never before. What makes The Richest Man in Babylon so enduring is not just the brilliance of its advice, but the beauty of how that advice is delivered. Clason knew that principles don't live in PowerPoint slides. They live in people, in their struggles, decisions, and breakthroughs. And that's what he gave us, a treasury of human experience wrapped in ancient robes, yet glowing with modern relevance. As you hear the stories of Babylon's citizens, how they dealt with debt, how they saved, invested, and grew, you'll begin to realize something remarkable. These people are not so different from us. They worried about rent. They desired comfort. They dreamed of a better future. They fell into traps of easy spending and hard debt. But some of them learned the laws of wealth, and by applying those laws, they rose. Not overnight, but steadily, predictably, like crops after rain. And this is where the true brilliance of Clason's work reveals itself. Because although these stories were written nearly 100 years ago and set in a world that existed 4,000 years in the past, the financial principles they teach are more relevant today than ever. In fact, in an age of credit cards, online shopping, student loans, and financial confusion, Clason's simple parables cut through the noise. They speak directly to the heart. While modern self-help books throw around buzzwords and shiny hacks, The Richest Man in Babylon gives us rules. Clear, tested, unbreakable rules. Rules that don't rely on motivation, but on discipline. Rules that don't just inspire you, but guide you. In a world that changes at lightning speed, these ancient lessons remain as steady as stone. So as we journey deeper into Babylon, remember this: you're not just stepping into history. You're stepping into a living blueprint, a city that whispers through the centuries, reminding us that wealth is not about luck or privilege. It's about wisdom, choices, and the courage to follow truth. Welcome to the world of Babylon, the city of golden stories, the birthplace of financial freedom. Part 1. The 7 Cures for a Lean Purse. In ancient Babylon, when men gathered under the shade of palm trees to seek wisdom on wealth, they turned to the richest man among them, Arcad. He did not inherit riches, nor was he born into privilege. He earned his wealth by learning and applying simple truths. Truths he called the 7 Cures for a Lean Purse. These principles are as relevant today as they were thousands of years ago. Whether you're struggling with money, living paycheck to paycheck, or simply seeking financial growth, these 7 cures offer a timeless roadmap to financial freedom. Let's walk through each one in detail. Cure 1. Start thy purse to fattening. A part of all you earn is yours to keep. This is where everything begins, with the simple habit of saving. No matter how much or how little you earn, if you spend everything, you'll remain broke. Arcad taught that saving at least 10% of all income is the first law of building wealth. The logic is simple, yet profound. If you learn to live on 90% of your income and save the rest, you begin to accumulate capital. This money becomes the seed from which wealth grows. And yes, even if you think your income is too small, you can start. It's not about how much, it's about forming the habit. Saving 100 Kenyan shillings out of 1,000 Kenyan shillings is not difficult, but it requires discipline. The key is consistency. Over time, this practice becomes a lifestyle, and your purse begins to fatten. Cure 2. Control thy expenditures. We confuse necessary expenses with desires. Most people believe they spend only on what they need. But if you were to write down every shilling you spend and what it's for, you'd quickly see that many expenses are not true necessities. Arcad challenged his students to separate their needs from their wants, to identify where their money leaks and plug those holes. This step requires self-awareness and honesty. Create a list of your absolute essentials: rent, food, utilities. Then list the wants, things like eating out, subscriptions, clothes you don't need. Once you know where your money is going, you can begin to control it. Remember, managing your spending isn't about deprivation. It's about direction. You're giving your money purpose. Cure 3. Make thy gold multiply. Gold laboreth diligently and contentedly for the wise owner who finds for it profitable employment. Saving is only the beginning. If money sits idle, it loses value. The next step is to put your money to work. Invest it so that it earns for you, even while you sleep. Arcad understood the power of compound interest long before it had a name. He knew that when gold multiplies, and its children go on to earn even more gold, the process of wealth creation becomes unstoppable. In today's world, this means learning about investments, stocks, bonds, real estate, businesses, or even high-yield savings accounts. The goal is not just to save money, but to grow it. Start small, invest cautiously, and learn as you go. Passive income streams, where your money earns without your constant involvement, are the key to long-term freedom. Cure 4. Guard thy treasures from loss. Guard thy treasure from loss by investing only where thy principal is safe. Too many people lose money because they chase quick returns. Get-rich-quick schemes, gambling, speculative ventures. They promise high profits, but often end in disaster. Arcad warned against trusting money to people who lack experience or wisdom. He taught that before you invest, seek counsel. Learn from those who understand the path ahead. Ask yourself, is my capital safe? Do I understand this investment? Am I prepared for the risk? If you can't answer these questions confidently, wait. Your money should work for you, not run from you. Remember, it's better to grow slowly than to lose quickly. Cure 5. Make of thy dwelling a profitable investment. Own thy home. In Babylon, owning a home was seen not just as shelter, but as a sign of stability. Arcad believed that when a man owned his dwelling, his heart was lighter and his expenses were more controlled. Today, this principle still holds value, but with a modern twist. Owning a home can be a powerful investment if done wisely. A home that builds equity, appreciates over time, or even generates rental income can transform your financial landscape. However, this doesn't mean you should rush into home ownership. The principle is about making smart living choices, living within your means, and turning your home into an asset rather than a liability. Cure 6. Ensure a future income. Provide in advance for the needs of thy growing age. One of the greatest signs of financial wisdom is planning ahead. Arcad urged his students to prepare for the days when their strength would fade and work would no longer be an option. This is the principle of retirement planning, of creating systems that continue to generate income when you no longer can. Today, this means contributing to pension funds, investing in long-term assets, buying life and health insurance, and creating income streams that last. Don't rely on luck or others. Build your future with intention. Every coin you save or invest today buys you security tomorrow. Cure 7. Increase thy ability to earn. The more of wisdom we know, the more we may earn. Your most valuable asset is not your money. It's your mind. Arcad's final cure was about self-improvement. To grow wealth, you must grow yourself. Increase your skills. Learn new crafts. Read books. Take courses. Seek mentors. The more valuable you become in the marketplace, the more money will flow to you. This principle is often overlooked, but it is the foundation of all wealth. Money flows toward competence. If you can solve bigger problems, bring more value, or lead others, you increase your ability to earn. And unlike money, your ability to learn is unlimited. So how do these ancient principles apply to your modern life? Start by saving at least 10% of everything you earn. Track your spending and cut unnecessary expenses. Invest your savings so that your money begins to grow. Protect your investments by doing your homework and avoiding risky schemes. Consider your home not just as a place to live, but a part of your financial plan. Prepare for your future. Build long-term security today. And above all, never stop learning. You are your greatest investment. Real-life example? Look at someone who started earning just a modest income. They saved consistently. They educated themselves on investing. They avoided debt traps and lived within their means. 10, 15 years later, they own property, have multiple income streams, and enjoy peace of mind. That journey didn't begin with luck. It began with the 7 cures. The Richest Man in Babylon offers more than financial advice. It offers a philosophy, a disciplined, principle-centered approach to wealth that outlasts trends, economies, and even centuries. It reminds us that wealth is not reserved for the lucky few. It is earned by those who apply timeless wisdom with consistency and courage. So the next time you feel overwhelmed by money, turn to these ancient cures. They won't fail you, because they never have. Part 2. The Richest Man in Babylon, Arkad's Story. In the heart of ancient Babylon, where the Tigris and Euphrates cradled the richest city of its time, there lived a man named Arkad. He was not born into gold, nor raised in luxury. He did not inherit riches, or stumble upon hidden treasure. Yet, in a city filled with merchants, nobles, and landowners, Arkad became the richest of them all. So how did he do it? This is Arkad's story, a story that begins in poverty and ends in legacy. A story that teaches us that wealth is not a matter of chance, but a matter of choice. It is about wisdom, discipline, and action. And if you follow his footsteps, this could very well be your story too. From scribe to sage, the humble beginnings of Arkad. Arkad started with nothing. He was a poor scribe, one of many, working long hours inscribing tablets for merchants and scholars. His income was meager, his days repetitive. Like many of us today, he worked hard, but found himself with little to show for it at the end of each month. One evening, a friend named Bansir, a chariot builder, came to him and asked, "Arkad, why is it that we work just as hard? Yet you have gold to spare, while I struggle to feed my family." This question opened the door to a story Arkad rarely told. His journey from the dusty corners of a scribe's room to the marble halls of Babylon's elite. The turning point, a meeting with Algamish. Years before, when Arkad was still a struggling scribe, fate introduced him to a wealthy moneylender named Algamish. The man had hired Arkad to copy a contract onto a clay tablet. When the job was done, Arkad asked him a question that had been burning in his heart for years. "How can I become rich?" Algamish didn't laugh. He didn't dismiss the poor scribe's ambition. Instead, he leaned in and gave him a test. He said, "I will tell you the secret. But first, prove to me that you have the discipline to follow it." His advice was simple, yet shocking. A part of all you earn is yours to keep. Save 1/10 of your earnings. Always. No matter what. Arkad was confused at first. "But I need all I earn to live," he protested. Algamish smiled and replied, "Fool! You do not have to live on all you earn. Learn to live on less. The habit of saving is more important than the amount." The discipline of wealth, paying himself. First, Arkad obeyed. Each month, he saved 10% of his income. before paying rent, before buying food, before doing anything else. This one habit changed everything. It gave him confidence, power, and options. His purse no longer remained empty. He had gold in hand and a future in sight. But saving alone wasn't enough. The first mistake: trusting without knowledge. After a few months, Arkad had enough savings to invest. Eager to grow his gold, he gave it to a brickmaker to buy jewels from Phoenician merchants. It seemed like a smart move, until the brickmaker was cheated and the investment vanished. When Algamish returned, Arkad confessed his failure. Algamish didn't scold him. Instead, he said, "Better a little caution than a great regret." Before you trust someone with your money, make sure they know what they are doing. A brickmaker knows nothing of jewels. Arkad learned a powerful lesson that day. Learn before you leap. Never invest your gold with the unwise. The comeback: making gold multiply. Arkad continued to save. This time, he gave his money to a shield maker, someone who knew how to trade metals, and slowly, his gold began to grow. The shield maker reinvested the earnings, and soon Arkad's money was working harder than he was. Gold begets more gold. That's the rule of compounding wealth. Arkad saw his fortune multiply, not because he was lucky, but because he was disciplined. He saved, invested wisely, learned from mistakes, and repeated the process. From learner to master, teaching others. As Arkad's wealth grew, so did his wisdom. He began to teach others. He trained young men in the 7 cures for a lean purse. He mentored merchants, laborers, even nobles. People flocked to hear him speak, not because he promised secrets, but because he taught eternal truths in a world full of distractions. Arkad believed anyone could become wealthy if they were willing to learn and apply the laws of money. One of his most powerful teachings was this: it's not how much you make, it's how you manage it. A man who earns 10 gold pieces but spends 11 is poorer than one who earns 5 and spends 4. Wealth is not about income, it's about habits, about stewardship, about wisdom. Arkad's legacy: the richest man in Babylon. By the end of his life, Arkad was not only the richest man in Babylon, but also the most respected. Not for his gold, but for his generosity and his guidance. He had transformed his own life and countless others by practicing and teaching financial discipline. His story spread throughout Babylon. People repeated his quotes in the marketplace. His students became wealthy and passed the knowledge down. The city flourished, not just with gold, but with understanding. And thousands of years later, his story still speaks. Why Arkad's story still matters today. Arkad's journey mirrors the lives of many people today. He started broke, made mistakes, learned, grew, and eventually reached freedom. He didn't wait for perfect timing or external help. He took responsibility for his future. He educated himself. He acted. And you can do the same. Start by paying yourself first. Avoid investments you don't understand. Let your money work for you. Learn from those wiser than you. Manage what you earn, no matter how little. These are not theories. They are battle-tested truths. And they work whether you live in Babylon, Nairobi, or New York. You don't need to be born rich. You don't need a 6-figure income. You need habits. You need patience. You need discipline. Like Arkad, you must begin today. Save something, learn something, apply something, because the richest man in Babylon wasn't a magician. He was just a man who followed timeless principles. And if he could do it, so can you. Part 3. The 5 Laws of Gold. In ancient Babylon, gold was not merely currency. It was power, freedom, and security. But only a few ever mastered it. Why? Because while everyone wanted gold, only the wise knew how to keep it. Arkad, the richest man in Babylon, once gathered a group of young men and shared with them the 5 laws of gold, sacred truths passed down through generations. These were not myths or fables. They were principles proven by time, rules that govern wealth. And today, more than 2,000 years later, they still hold the keys to financial success. Let us uncover each law and see how it applies to your life today. Law 1. Gold comes gladly, and in increasing quantity, to any man who will put by not less than 1/10 of his earnings to create an estate for his future and that of his family. Modern translation: save at least 10% of everything you earn, consistently. Gold loves discipline. Like a faithful companion, it shows up when called, if you call it regularly. The first law is simple, yet it eludes many people. Pay yourself first. Most people work for money. Then they spend it all. Rent, bills, entertainment, food, lifestyle upgrades, until nothing is left. But Arcad flips the script. Before you pay anyone else, you must pay yourself. This act of saving, even if small, starts the chain reaction of wealth. Save 10% of your income, no matter what. Whether you earn 1,000 shillings or $10,000, a part of it is yours to keep. Not for spending, not for impulse, but for your future. Modern action step: open a separate savings account. Automate 10% of every paycheck to go there. Treat it like a bill you must pay, non-negotiable. Over time, this habit will quietly build your fortune. Law 2. Gold labors diligently and contentedly for the wise owner who finds for it profitable employment, multiplying, even as the flocks of the field. Modern translation: let your savings work for you through wise investments. Saving is good, but it's not enough. Your gold must not sleep. It must work. This law teaches us the power of compounding. Money left idle dies a slow death. But money invested wisely grows and multiplies. Arcad describes gold as a worker. Once you save it, give it a job. Let it earn interest. Let it buy income-generating assets. Let it build you a second income while you sleep. The earlier you begin, the stronger the effect. Like planting a tree, your small investments will grow, branching out, bearing fruit, and one day providing shade you desperately need. Modern action. Step: learn about compound interest. Consider index funds, dividend stocks, real estate, or high-yield savings platforms. Even a small investment started early can outperform larger ones started later. Law 3. Gold clings to the protection of the cautious owner, who invests it under the advice of men wise in its handling. Modern translation: get financial advice from experts, not amateurs. Everyone has an opinion about money. Friends, relatives, social media influencers, they all have tips. But wealth doesn't come from luck or hype. It comes from wise counsel. Arcad warns us: only invest after seeking advice from those experienced with money, those who've walked the path, succeeded, and have something to lose. This could be a financial advisor, a seasoned investor, or a mentor who's earned your trust. Blindly trusting your broke cousin's crypto tip or betting all your savings on a trend is not strategy. It's gambling. Modern action. Step: before making any major financial move, consult a certified financial planner or a knowledgeable mentor. Join communities where financial literacy is valued and taught. Read books by proven experts, and always do your own due diligence. Law 4. Gold slips away from the man who invests it in businesses or purposes with which he is not familiar or which are not approved by those skilled in its keep. Modern translation: stick to what you understand, and never invest in what you don't. Arcad knew that curiosity kills gold. Many lose their wealth chasing ventures they don't understand. They hear of a hot deal, a foreign trade, an exotic coin, a friend's risky startup, and jump in with no knowledge. Then the gold disappears, and with it, trust, stability, and time. This law is a call to humility. You don't need to understand everything, but you must only invest in what you do understand. If something sounds too complex, it's a sign. Walk away or study it deeply before acting. Warren Buffett follows this same principle. He famously says, "Never invest in a business you cannot understand." Even the modern billionaires echo Babylon's ancient wisdom. Modern action step. If you're exploring an investment, say cryptocurrency, forex, real estate, or a new app, educate yourself first. Take a course. Talk to experts. Read real reviews. If it feels rushed, confusing, or unclear, pass. Law 5. Gold flees the man who would force it to impossible earnings, or who follows the alluring advice of tricksters and schemers, or who trusts it to his own inexperience and romantic desires in investment. Modern translation. Beware of too good to be true. Greed is the fastest way to lose your money. This is perhaps the most painful law, because it speaks directly to greed. Every day people fall for schemes, Ponzi scams, fake investments, shady deals. They're promised huge returns with little risk. They rush in with wide eyes and empty minds, and when the dust settles, their gold is gone. Arcad warns, gold flees those who try to force it into unnatural growth. You cannot speed up the laws of wealth. Gold grows steadily, never magically. Anyone who promises 20% returns per week is lying to you. The most tragic part? These promises often come when people are most desperate. They want a shortcut out of poverty. But shortcuts lead to traps. Modern action step. Never invest in something just because it promises high returns. Ask, is it regulated? Is there a business model? Can I withdraw my money? Who else has succeeded with it? If your gut says run, run. The laws in action, from Babylon to today. These 5 laws of gold were once taught to princes. Today, they should be taught in every school. But sadly, many never learn them until it's too late. Yet if you're watching this, you have an opportunity. These laws can change your financial life if you apply them. 1. Save before spending. 2. Invest with intention. 3. Listen to the wise. 4. Stick to what you know. 5. Avoid the too good to be true. Whether you're a student, a business owner, or just starting your career, these laws apply to you. They don't depend on luck, background, or location. They work in Nairobi. They work in New York. And they've worked for over 4,000 years. Bringing the laws to life. Real-world applications. Stocks. Use platforms like Vanguard or Fidelity to invest in long-term index funds. Simple, proven, and relatively safe. Side hustles. Invest your savings into small, manageable businesses like e-commerce, digital services, or local trade, only after understanding the market. Smart saving apps. Tools like Chime, Digit, or local equivalents can automate saving and help build discipline. Financial literacy. Take 1 course per quarter on personal finance. Your knowledge is your best investment. The gold you seek is already within reach. It begins with a choice, not a lottery ticket, not a miracle, but a simple daily decision to obey the laws of money. You don't need to be rich to begin, but if you begin today, wealth will eventually find you and stay. Because gold doesn't serve the lucky. It serves the wise. Part 4. Lessons on debt, discipline, and delayed gratification. In the grand city of Babylon, where the towers rose tall and the markets buzzed with gold, people still fell into the oldest trap of all, debt. Just like today, debt was a chain. It looked harmless at first, easy credit, quick loans, a small favor. But over time, it tightened around the neck, choking dreams and trapping lives. That's why the richest man in Babylon doesn't just teach how to make money, it teaches how to keep it, control it, and protect it. Let's dive into 3 key principles that every wealth builder must embrace: debt management, discipline, and delayed gratification. These aren't just financial ideas. They are mindsets, life philosophies, and they are the invisible walls between poverty and prosperity. Debt, the silent thief. In one of George Clason's powerful parables, a man drowns in debt. He can't enjoy his earnings. His work feels empty. His family lives under stress. Sound familiar? Debt, when misused, is like planting weeds in your financial garden. It grows fast, consumes everything, and blocks the seeds of wealth from ever sprouting. Arcad teaches that the man who owes money is a servant to the lender, and unless he breaks the chain, he can never be truly free. But here's the good news. Debt can be defeated, not with magic, not with a big win, but with a plan. The Babylonian debt repayment formula. 1. Save 10% of your income. This continues to build your future while tackling the past. 2. Live on 70%. Discipline your desires. 3. Use the remaining 20% to repay debts, every month, without fail. Slowly, methodically, the chains begin to loosen. Every payment is progress. Every month is a victory. Modern application. Write down all your debts. Rank them from smallest to largest, or from highest interest to lowest. Choose a repayment strategy. Snowball method. Pay off the smallest debt first. Quick wins. Avalanche method. Pay off the highest interest debt first. Saves more money long term. Whichever path you choose, be consistent. The power is not in speed. It's in momentum. Budgeting. Your financial map. Most people drift through life financially, like a ship without a compass. They earn money, spend it, and wonder why nothing changes. The answer? They don't tell their money where to go. A budget is not a prison. It's a blueprint for freedom. It's the tool that helps you command your money, not the other way around. In Babylon, the wise wrote down their income, calculated their living costs, and made plans. They knew that money without direction leads to destruction. Let's simplify it with a 3-step budgeting technique you can start today. Step 1. Know your net income. Figure out exactly how much you take home after taxes, not your salary, your actual usable income. Step 2. Track your spending. For 1 month, write down every shilling, dollar, or coin you spend. No excuses. Knowledge is power. Step 3. Use the 70-20-10 rule. 70% for living expenses, rent, food, transport, bills. 20% for saving, chalk, investing, future security, and growth. 10% for giving or generosity, charity, causes, helping others. Or adapt it slightly based on your goals. If you're in debt, switch to 70-20-10 for living, debt, and saving. The key? Stick to it. A budget is only useful if you obey it. Discipline, the invisible engine of wealth. Here's the truth no one likes to hear. Wealth doesn't happen by accident. It's not a lottery. It's not luck. It's not a one-time genius idea. Wealth is built quietly, behind the scenes, by ordinary people with extraordinary discipline. The man who sets aside 10% of his income each month, even when it's painful, will one day stand where others only dream of standing. Not because he earned more, but because he controlled more. In Babylon, the richest were not the ones with the highest income. They were the ones with the most consistency. They kept promises to themselves. They delayed pleasure. They honored the process. That's discipline, and it's available to you today. Right now. Modern tip. Create systems to build discipline. Use budgeting apps. Automate your savings. Write down your goals and track them monthly. Motivation fades, but systems endure. Delayed gratification, the superpower of the wealthy. Imagine 2 men. One buys the latest phone, eats out daily, and wears designer clothes. The other uses the same phone for 5 years, eats home-cooked meals, and invests what he saves. In the short term, the first man looks successful. In the long run, the second man becomes unstoppable. This is the power of delayed gratification. Arcad knew this well. As a young scribe, he didn't chase pleasures. He chased wisdom. He learned to say no to short-term temptation for long-term gain. And that's what wealth really is. Saying not yet to a luxury today so you can say yes to freedom tomorrow. The world today worships speed, fast food, fast money, fast fame. But Babylon teaches the opposite. Slow is smooth. Smooth is rich. Modern reflection questions. Can you wait 6 months before upgrading your car? Can you cook instead of dining out for 30 days? Can you invest in books instead of gadgets? Can you sacrifice a weekend party to build a side hustle? Every time you delay gratification, you add interest to your future. A new mindset is the beginning of wealth. Debt, budgeting, discipline, delayed gratification. These four are not just financial tools, they are mindsets. When you adopt them, you begin to walk a new path. The path of Arcad, the path of responsibility, the path of true prosperity. In a world screaming for instant success, Babylon whispers the truth. Wealth is not about speed. It's about direction. So choose your direction today. Decide to eliminate debt, one payment at a time. Create a budget, and follow it like your life depends on it. Build discipline, not through force, but through focus. Practice delayed gratification, not as punishment, but as power. Because every act of self-control is an investment in your future. And one day, when others are still chasing, you'll be living free, just like the richest man in Babylon. Part 5. Character, Hard Work, and Integrity. In ancient Babylon, a land of towering walls and golden opportunity, one timeless truth echoed through the generations. Wealth follows character. It wasn't just knowledge of money or access to gold that determined a person's fortune. It was who they were at their core. A person could be intelligent, ambitious, and even lucky. But if they lacked integrity, discipline, and honor, their gold would eventually vanish like dust blown by desert winds. George S. Clason, the author of The Richest Man in Babylon, didn't simply write a financial guide. He wove into his parables the essence of what truly attracts and sustains wealth. The human qualities of trustworthiness, diligence, and reliability. He knew that lasting success is less about clever strategies and more about the character behind them. In both ancient times and our modern world, the principle remains unchanged. Money follows trust, and trust follows character. Character is the invisible currency that determines how far you can go. In Babylon, reputation mattered more than riches. If you borrowed gold and promised to repay it within a moon's cycle, the question wasn't how much gold you had. It was whether your word meant something. If you said you would deliver goods or services, people expected you to do it with excellence. And if no one was watching, the true test of your honor was how you still chose to act. These silent, daily decisions built a person's reputation. And once you were known as someone reliable and ethical, opportunity came knocking. Gold came not because you begged for it, but because you became someone worthy of receiving and keeping it. One of Clason's most powerful stories reveals what happens when character is ignored. There was once a spear maker named Rodin who received a large payment from the king's guard for his fine craftsmanship. Overwhelmed with joy and inexperience, he sought advice on what to do with his newfound wealth. His sister urged him to lend the gold to her husband for a business venture. However, this man was careless, with a history of failure and poor judgment. Rodin, against his better instincts, gave in to pressure and lent the money. Predictably, the business failed, and the gold was lost. This parable doesn't just teach financial caution, it delivers a deeper truth. Wealth given to those without character is wealth wasted. Emotion, guilt, or naivety can cloud judgment, but poor decisions based on weak character yours or others, carry painful consequences. Beyond judgment, Babylon also honored the virtue of hard work. Wealth wasn't built on wishes or shortcuts. It was the fruit of consistent effort. Akkad, the richest man in Babylon, began with nothing. He was a poor scribe who spent long hours copying clay tablets. But while he worked, he also listened and learned. He paid attention to wealthy merchants and wise moneylenders. He took notes. He asked questions. And when the opportunity came, he acted, not with haste, but with patience and strategy. His fortune was not won through luck or inheritance, but through deliberate, honest labor. Babylon respected those who toiled, not those who schemed. In today's world, where overnight success is glamorized, Babylon reminds us that true wealth is built brick by brick, not all at once. Integrity, too, was non-negotiable. More than talent or charm, it was the foundation on which trust and wealth was built. Your word had to mean something. You had to repay what you borrowed, deliver what you promised, be the same person in private as in public. Clason's parables showed that no matter how intelligent or hardworking you were, if people couldn't trust you, you would never be truly rich. Not in gold, not in relationships, not in life. Today, in a world full of scams, shortcuts, and dishonesty, integrity is more valuable than ever. It's your most resilient asset, the one that never crashes in value. So, what does this mean for you? As you reflect on Babylon's wisdom, take a moment to evaluate yourself. Not your bank account, but your principles. Ask, am I someone others can count on? Do I keep my promises, even when it's inconvenient? Do I show up fully in my work, regardless of whether anyone is watching? Am I building a reputation that opens doors and inspires trust? If the answer is yes, keep going. You are on the path to not just wealth, but enduring success. If the answer is maybe or no, then let this be your turning point. Because before you open your wallet, before you make your next investment, before you chase another financial goal, build the person who's going to manage it. Make that person trustworthy, consistent, and strong. Babylon teaches us that money doesn't stay with the careless. It runs from the dishonest. It disappears from the lazy. But it gravitates toward the one who honors their word, shows up to work, and handles money with care. Build that version of yourself, and gold will follow. In the end, Clason's message is clear. Riches built on weak character will not last, but wealth built on hard work, integrity, and discipline will stand the test of time. Let the ancient voice of Babylon remind you, your most important investment isn't just in assets, but in yourself. Part 6. Repetition of Wisdom. Why it works. Why do we find the same financial advice repeated over and over in The Richest Man in Babylon? Why does George Clason keep echoing the same simple truths? Save at least 10%. Invest wisely. Guard your gold. The answer is both ancient and modern. Repetition is how we remember, and what we remember shapes who we become. In the grand temples and classrooms of ancient Babylon, education was built on memorization. Students were not just taught new ideas, they were taught to engrave wisdom into their minds like the chisel etched into stone tablets. Parables were repeated, quoted, copied, and spoken aloud again and again until they weren't just lessons. They became part of a student's identity. And that's what Clason aimed for in this book. Not entertainment, not novelty. Transformation through repetition. Modern science supports this ancient method. Neuropsychology teaches us that our brains are rewired through repeated thoughts and actions. It's called neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to adapt, change, and form new pathways based on what we practice. The more we repeat a behavior or thought, the more automatic it becomes. It's why habits form. It's why beliefs stick. And it's why, to become wealthy in both mindset and reality, we must continually expose ourselves to the truths that build wealth. Consider this. We don't change our financial destiny by hearing a principle once. We change it by hearing it, believing it, practicing it, failing, coming back to it, hearing it again, and slowly embedding it into our actions. Saving 10% of your income may sound simple, but living that out every month, without fail, requires mental and emotional conditioning. And conditioning comes from repetition. That's why Clason's book doesn't try to dazzle us with complexity. He repeats the same financial commandments in different parables and characters because he wants them burned into your mind. Like a coach drilling fundamentals into an athlete or a musician playing scales until their fingers move on instinct, Clason is preparing you to act wisely with money without needing to think about it. Let's be honest. Many of us know what to do with money. Save, invest, spend less than we earn, but we still don't do it. Why? Because knowing isn't enough. It's remembering at the right time that changes the game. When you're tempted to spend your savings, when someone offers you a shiny but risky investment, when you want to impress others instead of building your financial foundation. It's in these moments that repetition saves you. And here's the real magic. Repetition doesn't just help you remember, it builds belief. Every time you hear that a part of all you earn is yours to keep, it goes a little deeper. The first time, it might sound obvious. The fifth time, it feels like truth. The 50th time, it becomes part of who you are. You begin to feel the wrongness of wasting your earnings. You crave financial discipline. You're no longer just learning, you're transforming. Think of the great wisdom traditions, from religious texts to philosophical schools. What do they all have in common? Repetition. Psalms, proverbs, mantras, affirmations, all are tools not for information, but for reprogramming the mind. Clason's parables do the same. And if you let them echo in your life, they will shape your choices, your habits, and your wealth. So if you feel like you've heard these lessons before, good. That means you're on the path. Read them again. Watch this video again. Write down the principles. Speak them out loud. Share them with a friend. Teach them to someone younger. Because we become what we repeat. The richest man in Babylon wasn't the cleverest or the luckiest. He was the most consistent. He repeated the right actions, day after day, year after year, until they built a fortune. And if you want to build yours, start by repeating the wisdom that made his, again, and again, and again. Part 7. From Knowledge to Action. Your 30-Day Babylonian Plan. Now that you've absorbed the wisdom of the richest man in Babylon, here's the real question. What will you do with it? Because knowledge is powerful, but action is what transforms lives. George Clason didn't write parables so we could nod in agreement. He wrote them so we could live differently. So here's your challenge. A 30-day Babylonian plan. Simple steps. 1 month. Life-changing results. Week 1. Know thy purse. Track your money and save 10%. For the first week, your only job is awareness and action. First, track every shilling, every coin, every dollar that flows in and out of your hands. Don't just guess. Write it down. Use a notebook, a spreadsheet, or a budgeting app. Be honest with yourself. How much do you make? And where is it going? Then, no matter how little you earn, save 10%. Not 10% of what's left after spending. 10% of your total income. Right off the top. Put it in a separate envelope, a savings account, a jar if you must. But make sure it's sacred. This is the first law of wealth, and it must not be broken. Clason wrote, "A part of all you earn is yours to keep." Let that sink in. If you don't save it, you never truly earned it. Saving 10% is your declaration to the universe. I am ready for more. Week 2. Control thy expenditures, cut the unnecessary. Now that you know where your money is going, it's time to take control. This week is all about separating needs from wants. Go through your list of expenses. Be ruthless. Do you really need all those subscriptions? That takeout 3 times a week? That impulsive shopping? Your goal is to free up at least an additional 10% of your income by cutting what doesn't serve your future. That money can go toward paying debts, investing, or increasing your savings. This is not deprivation, it's realignment. Every coin you rescue from waste is a coin that will one day fight for your financial freedom. Remember, wealth isn't about earning more, it's about keeping more. Week 3. Make thy gold multiply. Learn and prepare to invest. Now that you've begun to save and control your spending, it's time to make your money grow. This week, commit to learning about one investment vehicle. Stocks, bonds, real estate, index funds, mutual funds, SACCOs, side hustles. Pick one, read a book, watch a trusted YouTube channel, listen to a podcast, talk to a mentor, but above all, learn. Clason said, "Gold that labors diligently is a faithful servant." Don't let your money sit idle. Start with small, smart investments that grow over time. Don't fall for hype or trends. Avoid the get-rich-quick traps. Let wisdom be your guide. And don't feel pressure to invest immediately if you're not ready. The goal this week is education and preparation. You're building confidence. You're getting ready to plant your financial seeds. Week 4. Strengthen thy foundation. Pay off a debt and open an account. Now we act. This week, make a dent in your debts. Pick one, preferably the smallest, and crush it. Show yourself what it feels like to eliminate a burden. Use your extra savings from weeks 1 and 2 to do it. Debt is like a hole in your purse. You can't grow rich if your wealth keeps leaking away. Start small, but start now. Also, if you haven't already, open a separate savings or investment account. Make it real. Whether it's a money market fund, a long-term savings account, or a SACCO deposit, put your saved 10% somewhere it will grow. Watch your gold begin to multiply. And remember, action is louder than intention. You don't need to be perfect. You need to be consistent. That's the Babylonian way. Every night, write 1 or 2 lines in a notebook. What did you learn about money today? What did you do right? What could you improve tomorrow? This keeps your focus sharp and your goals alive. Final words. You have the blueprint. Now, build the life. The walls of Babylon weren't built in a day. Wealth is not won through luck or one-time effort. It's built by stacking wise decisions, one after another, every single day. You now have the tools. You have the blueprint. You have the ancient secrets that shape the richest men of one of the greatest civilizations in history. The only thing left is to act. So don't wait for a new month. Don't wait for more money. Don't wait for someone else's permission. Begin today. Start tracking. Start saving. Start learning. Start building. Because in 30 days, you won't just have a better relationship with money. You'll be walking in the footsteps of the richest man in Babylon. And step by step, that path will lead you to freedom, abundance, and a life lived on your own terms. Finally, build your Babylon. You've made it this far, and that already puts you ahead of most. But let's not stop at understanding. Let's go all the way to transformation. Because here's the truth. You don't need to be rich to start, but you must start to become rich. The principles we've uncovered from The Richest Man in Babylon are not complex. They're not flashy. They're not hidden behind jargon or expensive programs. They're simple, time-tested truths. Save 10% of what you earn. Control your spending. Invest wisely. Guard your money. Keep learning. These aren't just good ideas. They're life principles. The kind that separate those who struggle endlessly from those who thrive quietly. And just like the mighty city of Babylon, your financial life won't change in a day. But it will change if you lay one brick after another, one decision at a time, one habit after another. The Babylonians didn't wait for miracles. They followed rules. They respected discipline. They planted seeds and waited for harvest. And if they could build one of the greatest civilizations the world has ever known, so can you. Think about it. You're not just saving money. You're building freedom. You're not just paying off debt. You're reclaiming peace of mind. You're not just budgeting. You're designing a life where money works for you instead of enslaving you. This isn't about becoming a millionaire overnight. It's about becoming someone who no longer fears the end of the month. Someone who can take care of their family. Someone who can give, grow, and live freely. That's the real wealth. That's your Babylon. So let the ancient wisdom guide your modern success. Don't let the simplicity of the message fool you. Great fortunes were built on these very truths, and great lives still are. Let's close with a powerful reminder from the book. Wealth, like a tree, grows from a tiny seed. That seed might be your first 10% saved, or your first budget, or your first debt payment, or even this very video, the moment something finally clicked and you decided to take control of your future. So what now? Take action. Don't leave this video and go back to the same habits. Choose one thing to implement today. One habit to lock in. One promise to yourself that you'll keep. Comment below. What's the habit you will start today? Share this video with someone who needs it. Let's build a generation of financially wise people who don't just survive, but flourish. And subscribe for more life-changing book summaries and wisdom that empowers your journey. Your destiny is waiting. Start building. Brick by brick, coin by coin, day by day. The journey to wealth has begun.